What's going on, gamers? So there's a lot to go through in this video. This can definitely be a long one because I consistently am showing people the truth here. Digital Foundry calls out Microsoft big time. And they say the same things I've been telling you guys because we care about the health and state of the gaming industry. I have people saying, why should I care about, layoffs? Why should I care about, if Game Pass is profitable or not? I like my benefits. You can think like that, that's fine. But if the whole world did, all of gaming would be screwed. Because what you're not understanding is that as long as Microsoft keeps getting those monopolies and doing what they're doing, all those developers, all those publishers, all those companies and IPs are all getting screwed over every second more that they've been with them when they could have been fine and healthy left alone. And then if they decide to exit out the industry because they don't get what they want, and their Game Pass doesn't get the Netflix numbers, can't trust this company. They change on you. And they just dip out on you and exit out with Game Pass. What are you going to do? And all those developers will cannibalize and sacrifice a bit for their AI demiurge deity that they're feeding blood to. Whatever. Anyways, let's keep going, though. I'm not going to pull down the curtain too much. And let's see what Digital Foundry has to say here. Things get very interesting here. All right, guys? So stick with me on this. We're also going to go back, but we're going to get to this important part right here real quick. This is matters. Let's go.
After a certain point, it seems like the failure with Microsoft is that they allow these projects to go on far too long.
Agreed.
Before stepping in. And then when they...
Think about what he just said. Don't you agree when it goes to Everwild, Perfect Dark, and all these other games? Like, you just would have been better off not doing that and starting up new studios.
Do step in, it feels like one of the first reactions is, well, just cut it. So like they're not, it doesn't seem like they're getting the kind of support that you might get from other companies, right? Third-party companies working with Nintendo on Nintendo developed games, for instance, have a very, very, very different track record. Nintendo really seems to support them and help them get stuff made. I mean, you look at what happened with like something like Metroid Dread. Like, the track record of Mercury Steam wasn't actually very good before that, right? And then they helped them basically essentially create like incredibly well-made games, and that changes the fate of the studio, I would say. Microsoft's not able to support these companies.
And they got all the money in the world. It's what I've been trying to tell people. They are not good for the gaming industry. They don't help a company. If they leave, all those companies are worse left like that. And the AI took over. They interjected all this garbage into them, laid off all those people. They used to be whole without them. And if they exit out and leave with Game Pass, you're left with fractions of those companies. They didn't make the industry better. If you don't understand that, I don't know what else to say. Outside of your little benefit that I keep on telling people. Are we ready? What he just said. Who just did that little 1 month real quick just to get it. And then it just fell flat again. And they did all that for that. No matter what they did, no growth was ever happening. Studios were getting closed down. They got rid of Hi-Fi, but they showed they can make a really good game. Then you see that article, it wasn't because of talent or anything. Then you find out it's all because of AI. Everything you see this company doing, all the lies they were telling you too, nothing is working. They haven't shown you that they can grow. So Game Pass is unsustainable. It's a sinkhole. They spent all that money to dump onto it. They're paying so many people to put their games on Game Pass because they can't sell because they killed their market with Game Pass. But Game Pass is not working either. So now they have to go third party and put these games all over the place. You see what I mean? Microsoft is a mess, realistically. They're giving up. But of course, they don't know how to keep neutering and supporting things to get better. As I told you before, they're incapable of doing this. That was proven by shutting down the initiative. See, a brand new quadruple A title from the ground up, what happened? They shut it down years later. Like I said, they're incapable of doing that. I keep on proving that. I'm not trying to beat down anything. All I'm doing is showing you that what I'm telling you is factual, and you see it. What's terrible is what they're doing, not getting mad at me for telling you what they're doing. Well, boy, this is the type of world we live in with that type of nonsense. But good. I have 4 or 5 more videos saying the same thing consistently. A lot of y'all have seen that. Once again, all I'm doing is telling the truth. I didn't come attack you. I have a problem with Microsoft. Oh yeah, I've always had for a very long time. Not Xbox, I said Microsoft. Who are we dealing with now? Not Xbox anymore. Oh no, they're getting rid of that. Of course they are. Yeah, I have a problem with that. You might not, but I do. And Hey, man, I don't want to run around damaging anything else. That's because I actually care about the gaming industry. I'm not a fanboy that only cares about a brand and only wants to see what that does, and that's it. Nothing else matters. Just small-minded. Hey, if you want to live that type of life, that's fine. But I'm going to do the light work that I'm supposed to do. I like what he's doing right here, too. Oh, yeah. Just being honest.
It's also really not helpful that most of these layoffs are occurring within the US context, because in some other places, maybe you say, you lose your job, you have welfare to fall back on, you have your healthcare, but in the US, it's a different situation, right? So with so many things really tied to employment in the United States, you end up with these really like nasty situations where cutting someone off from employment just conditions a ton of other failure points in their life, right? So it's really challenging to deal with, and I completely understand and sympathize with people who are in this position, because it's a really terrible position to be in, right?
Let's deal with some supporter questions. Kevin Booth says, "Hi DF crew, exclamation point. Given the troubling situation continuing to develop within Microsoft and the Xbox team specifically, does this represent an Icarus moment for the Xbox brand? The topic of Microsoft's mega acquisition."
And where this started, so you guys could see, this is where it started. I found this just by scrolling down. Obviously, I wouldn't go to James's page, you know what I mean? But he's the one that had it. And this was the highlight that everybody's kind of like going off of right now.
I think at this point, no company should ever allow themselves to be acquired by Microsoft. If you're a gaming company, don't do it. Stay out of it. It's a bad deal. People were saying this during the Activision stuff. Everyone that supported that was wrong completely. If we supported it, we were wrong. This was a big mistake. All of this stuff.
I did. And I was wrong for supporting that. Because I thought they were going to do something better with it. But what I saw now, I wanted to give them another chance. And I would say that was foolish of me to do that. That's why I even came and supported you guys. Like I said, I'm coming to back up the Xbox community. You know what I mean? Be the equalizer. Then I turn around, shank in the back. Oh, okay. You know what I mean? And then again, all right, now it's over. Now it's war. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what happened. Got people coming to me, oh, because of Nintendo. Bro, Nintendo don't got nothing to do with why I'm doing this. If you think that, you are a fool. They could disappear, and I'm doing the same thing. You don't got nothing to do with them. You're insane if you think that I would turn on somebody because I want a fanboy for another company. Then you don't know shit about me then. And that's actually pretty sad that somebody has the audacity to project that after watching my content and not realizing that that's not the type of character I am. We don't do that type of stuff over here. See me blinking? I'm very serious about that. And I'm not going to get too far off that, but that's crazy, man. Like some of this stuff I see people say, I'm like, are you really being serious here? What the heck? Once again, stop bringing them up, bro. That's irrelevant. If I got a problem with them, I will go deal with them independently and it'll be separate. This right here is a Microsoft saga. You saw my PlayStation saga before. I'm telling you, I can get sagas going, but that's only because they went way too far, and they did. You know, guy, I mean, I don't have to sit out here representing you like this all this time, then you turn around and dump on me, and then it's all okay. No, dude. That's what I like when I saw that video Alex did. You know what I mean? Because once again, bro, like if you don't do that, then what are you really telling Microsoft? It's the same thing with any other company. You know what I mean? Like if you don't ever rebel, then you're saying, here, dog, I'm feeding you. And it's going to keep coming back around. Like Call of Duty keeps coming back around because you keep feeding it. It doesn't matter if it sucks or not. You're saying I'm feeding it. So the loophole begins. You're in that infinite loophole in the moonlight. Good luck with that. But right here, they told the truth. Avoid them at all cost. And there's going to be some people that are fanboys that do not like that. I don't care. This is about what's good for the greater whole of the industry and what's good for the industry in general. You can enjoy your Game Pass benefits. Once again, nobody said no flip switch on that or anything. All we're doing here is simply speaking the truth on camera. And if you can't handle it, I have to say, just ask to become stronger inside. Because like I said, what we're doing is not terrible. What's terrible is what they're doing in real life every day. Understand the difference.
Of ABK and ZeniMax has been discussed ad nauseum as the Eye of Sauron, Satcher, is hovering intensely over Xbox to recoup the investment. While Game Pass offers great value to gamers, I can't help but wonder if Xbox leadership has crossed the event horizon on this strategy.
Agreed. That's what I'm saying. That value you like, but outside of that, you still have to see the truth. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. It's not that hard. I didn't come to nobody and attack nobody. No, but you guys know if I go off on my videos because somebody came to me and said what they said. Other than that, yeah, I ain't got no problem with nobody because this is not really a problem with humanity. This is a problem with a corporation. Literally. That's it. I don't have no problem with nobody in real life. How? I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at Microsoft. Understand that.
Selling full price software on competing platforms enough to sustain the existing business model, or does this demand drastic and potentially very unpopular changes to Game Pass? Thanks and keep up the great work! Exclamation point. The funny thing is, of course, that Microsoft is bringing in record revenue, seemingly. And Game Pass seems to be working. As to whether it's the best possible solution for, the publication and distribution of games, I think that's still up for debate.
Yeah, that depends. Like, I can understand why somebody said, the values they're putting their first party games. So yeah, no, dude, I get it. But what are the negatives to that? And that's it. Nobody ever wants to talk about that. That's the crazy part to me. Because they're too obsessed with their benefits. Am I for the consumer? Oh, absolutely. That's why I'm attacking a corporation. But I know some people that feel threatened because I'm attacking Game Pass as if like, oh, Game Pass is now going to be taken away from us. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, if Microsoft wants to do that, they're going to do that. I'm telling you. And it'll probably be a couple years from now. If they don't hit their targets, don't be surprised if you wake up one day. What happened? Microsoft has exited. Sorry, Game Pass is gone. I didn't do that. They did. You see what I mean? I'm telling you, everything, the damaging that's being done, remember, they're the ones that's doing the damage. I didn't damage the gaming industry. I didn't lay off people. It blows my mind, bro. I'm telling you, this programming is bad. There's just too much brainwashing, bro. It's crazy. This Monster Inc. world, man. Digital Foundry didn't do the layoffs. You know what I mean? All everybody is doing is using their influence the right way and doing the right thing, calling it out. A real problem here. You see what I mean? We choose what we want to focus on to be a big problem. Honestly, if you really want to find out, just let this guide you then. You see what I mean? Rather than getting up in your head all day. Because I don't live in my head. I don't know about you, but I don't.
I'm not quite sure whether this is actually an Xbox problem rather than a Microsoft problem that Xbox is a big part of. Any thoughts on that, Oliver?
I would hope that it's enough to sustain the existing business model. Like you said, Microsoft Gaming is a profitable enterprise, and even though they obviously absorbed another very profitable company recently, which perhaps explains some of that profit there. I would hope their core franchises are popular enough and make enough money.
This is a nice, sweet guy right here. He's a nice person. He didn't want to say it. Oliver basically told you, sorry, but they're not really profitable. They had to buy Activision, and then they took their numbers, and it looks somewhat better now. Well, imagine. Proof that. See? I'm telling you. Kotick said it. You don't get us, you're finished. You need me. I don't need you. That's right, you're going to pay me when I leave. They paid him like 300 and something million bonus. How you think he got that deal? It wasn't happening. Kotick haggled the shit out of them. It was like 300 and something million. Guys, if I don't find this, then we'll have to look it up. But man, it was nuts, guys. I was like, they paid him. Yeah. Where's it at? Where was his bonus compensation? I know they gave him a conclusion where reports for potential. Okay, 375 million, 355 million bonus paid to him upon leaving. Guys, it's nuts. I was looking at this the other day. He had extra 150 million bonus. You can't tell me this isn't madness. They had to get him out because he wasn't willing to play that game. He knew what was going to happen, and he told Nadalia, "You have no creativity. What are you doing in gaming? Get out. You guys don't belong in gaming. You're trying to dump everything on a service." We had successful business models here, and I have World of Warcraft for $15 a month. And you want me to dump it all on your service? This is going to fail. It's just not good for gaming. He told them that. He was right, even though I don't like the guy. You guys know how I am. Dude, you know what I mean? I don't need to bring the guy's past up, but I think you guys know what I mean. You sit on there for that long, I don't respect you. But he still came out and told the truth, so we had to hear that.
I think we might be at an inflection point with some AAA where maybe the business case for certain titles is not really making sense, but I wouldn't be able to comment. Like, obviously there are some titles like Avowed, like Indiana Jones, certain games that didn't hit super big on Steam, but you have to think with the Game Pass model, you know, they might be doing really well on Game Pass. Microsoft, I'm sure, has their own metrics in terms of evaluating the relative success of different titles in the platform. But
when they do that, they lose revenue. You see? Because if it wasn't on Game Pass, all that would be profit and revenue. Every single time they do that, guys, they don't include that in the Game Pass numbers. They subtract that, and they only give you on what seems positive. They're only showing that, but they're not showing the deductions. That's deceptive. They're lying to you because they're not giving you the full truth. All I was trying to do was just say, hey, what about this? Here's the full truth. People get mad. I'm just saying, I'm like, bro, I'm just saying they're lying to you, right? And if you want to look up the Bobby Kotick aspect, all you got to do is do Bobby Kotick, Satya Nadella. Type in something like this and look for the video. Yeah. But yeah, if you guys want me to do that video for you, I don't mind. I'll show you what I'm saying.
I could see, like, I think the merit in this question is I can totally see Microsoft moving away from certain styles of games, certain expenses in terms of their game allocation for any given year. But I don't think that Microsoft is in a particularly dire state. Like, they are profitable. They clearly have the revenues to sustain these projects. They just decided that for whatever reason, these projects, these studios were, you know, first in the chopping block in order to potentially fund other ambitions in AI or other areas of the business, right? And that's
AI. All right, so we're going to go back to what they were talking about earlier, and this is basically other aspects. There's a lot to talk about in this video. This is going to be a long video. We'll start back somewhere around here.
Just never worked out, and then they've never been able to find their way back, I would feel. And even with all these studio acquisitions, Xbox has continued to struggle to get really key titles out the door, both in a timely fashion and at the quality fans demand. I mean, I think the Halo Infinite situation is legendary at this point. They dropped the ball big time. You know, I would say Turn 10 dropped the ball with rebooting Forza Motorsport last year. You know, games like Starfield are good, but it didn't hit the way that I think they would have wanted. And it just felt like Microsoft was unable to catch a break and just get these titles at the door that resonate with people in the way that the biggest games from Sony and Nintendo do, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And I beat Starfield. You know what I mean? I beat every Xbox game that comes out. You know what I mean? Like, okay. Because I want to talk from experience. I don't want to be sitting there guessing if this is a good. No, I'll go right on there and I'll beat it and support it. I don't mind. And I will continue to support future games coming out. But I will continue to bash Microsoft as well, too, because they're so annoying. I'm telling you guys, I've been patient with them for a while. You don't know my patience with them because you don't have my insights. Now I'm fed up. I'm pretty sure y'all see that. Like I said, if you don't want to deal with the fireworks, then yeah, you don't necessarily have to get in my way because I don't have a personal problem with anyone. It's just me and Microsoft.
But they were still making money, and like Game Pass was still making money. So like, to me, it just feels like all of this ties into Microsoft just shifting where their business is going, and they don't view Xbox, they don't view games the way that perhaps people like us want.
No.
Right? And it does, and because of all the job loss associated with it, and it's not just Xbox people that lost their jobs, by the way. They did a lot of head cutting again. I think the total Microsoft cuts this year is over 15,000 people, which is pretty insane.
Right.
So the whole situation is just dark and upsetting, and it's something that we're really seeing in the West, and something especially in the West. Yeah. But, you know, something that really hit home this morning when discussing this with some friends was like, somebody noted that, like, you know, you look at somebody like Andrew Wilson, Bobby Kotick when he was still at Activision, you know, they're making 30 million, 150 million a year as the CEOs. They're even taking pay increases. They're making so much. You look at Nintendo and the CEO is making like 1.8 million. Miyamoto is making like 1.4 million. I mean, this is consistent with other Japanese companies, and they're not going through this same sort of like extreme layoff stuff.
I wonder why. Says a lot about the insides in there. They got it together. That harmony, the heavenly harmony. Oh yeah. It ain't breaking apart. It's strong. You're not beating that. That's why it's number one. See, that's respected. That's number one. They're last place because the universe said so. Who's directing? Oh, you ain't never getting first place. That's right. Best thing you got is publishing. Out of that, never gonna happen. Oh yeah. You want to know why? Oh yeah, of course. It's not happening. Yeah, right. Like we'll ever have them be in first place. Get the hell out of here.
Either. It just feels like
Keep on dreaming.
The world of capitalism has become even worse than ever, and like this like short-sightedness and focus on AI is really a big symptom of it. It's very frustrating to watch.
There was a report from Windows Central saying that Microsoft's overall aim to build up $80 billion worth of AI server infrastructure may have had something to do with this reorganization. No idea.
Bring me the sacrifices.
If that's true or not. And here's the thing, the amount of visibility you have on the decision making behind all of this stuff, you're only seeing the end result of it. You don't really know how all of these decisions came to pass. But you're right, John, there has been some issue in terms of delivery of a consistent delivery across the years of quality games, and we kind of thought we'd crossed that bridge, right? Because the last 6 months, 9 months from Xbox has been nothing short of exemplary.
I think, though, Rich, the problem there, more than anything, is one. I think so they had the lineup in the last 6 months that they needed to have like 3 years ago, right?
Right,
and it's too late. The genie's out of the bottle. They'd already shifted to this multi-platform strategy. The energy around Xbox is like out. It's gone. By and large, it's just become a publishing arm at this point. And that passion, I mean, for better or for worse, every console has very passionate fans, and it feels like the Xbox brand essentially like just did away with all that. Kick the fans to the side, and so there's not that much to be passionate about anymore. Individual games, yes, but the brand as a whole, not so much. And that's
respect.
So that's too late. But then, of course, obviously, the other big part here is that they canceled a lot of big games, right?
Yeah, let's go through that, because there was
like 6 or 7. It's crazy. Caught up with Sony real quick.
There's a lot to
hiding
get through,
it,
isn't there?
Yes.
Should we talk about Perfect Dark first? Because there's
agree.
been quite a lot of discussion about that, and also I think some misinformation that's got out there. But take it away on that one.
Yeah, so Perfect Dark, it's no secret this has been in development for a long time. I think it was clearly a very difficult project.
That disappointed me.
But as far as, just based on chats around, the impression I get is that it was actually getting back on track. And we don't know for sure, but the word is that, they were making good progress. It was primarily Crystal Dynamics working alongside Sumo Digital, with the initiative sprinkled in there as well. I would say the initiative concept didn't really work out as a small creative house, lots of clashing personalities, perhaps, things not necessarily going as you would want there.
But that was Microsoft's decision. Then they had to get another help again. They had to get another help. It's like what are we back to, Crackdown again? Remember that? 7 developers? I don't know what they're doing.
But
like Steam, help me. Just help me. No. They don't know what they're doing, trust me. It's nothing new.
Crystal Dynamics, Sumo, they're very experienced developers. And there was this discussion around the demo shown where it's like, oh, this is all fake. This is just like a pre-rendered thing, or just like a totally faked demo. It's not really playable.
Well, stuff like that has actually happened before, which I kind of find interesting. And you can get it going if you do it right.
They were nowhere near that, and I don't think that's the case. I think what they presented was a traditional vertical slice.
Yeah,
and what people on the development team have even very specifically said, it was a fully playable piece. Yes, it played best if you followed the exact, intended sort of progression through the demo, but it didn't mean you were locked into that either. Like, the systems were there, they were functional. It wasn't just like pure smoke and mirrors, but there was some smoke and mirrors. And unfortunately, that's just the reality of doing any of these pre-release demos, right? And you got to do it carefully in order to sort of make sure that what you're showing is actually representative of what you're going to be able to achieve. This is something that we've seen Sony got pretty good with this after a while, after massively failing with their CG trailer-a-thon that was the PS Triple reveal.
Oh, Killzone.
But then you look at later stuff, especially like the Naughty Dog demos, the Resistance demos, stuff on the PS3, and then going forward.
I remember telling people too back in the PS3 days, that's fake, man. You know what I mean? I'm sticking with Gears and Halo.
From there,
Killzone was
you
cool,
look at
though.
the reveal of like Killzone Shadowfall and all that. Like, they were delivering demos that were technically those vertical slices, but they delivered what the game received. Microsoft's no stranger to this either. They did it with Halo 2, of course. Bungie did back in the day, which we know, you know, that was also a narrow vertical slice. It didn't really ship in the game, but it was representative.
But it ended up working out. Like I said, it doesn't necessarily mean the game is bad because of that. They could have done Perfect Dark. It ended. I don't know. I just feel like if you let it get that far, man, come on, bro. If you released Redfall, that would have definitely been way better than Redfall. I don't know. I was looking forward to that. I'm a huge Perfect Dark 64 player from the Nintendo days. So, yeah, I was looking forward to that.
Playable. And I think that was the case here. So I think, and I'm sad that they were not able to continue this. Obviously, we're not privy to any of the financial details here. And from a business perspective, I can see there's frustration with how much time and money have likely been sunk into the project. And it also brings up like the sunk cost fallacy, you know, when you think about continuing this. But still, they needed something like this, I feel. They needed games like this in their portfolio. And to just kill it like this after it seemed like it was getting back on track, I don't know, man. I'm not happy about it.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that was effectively cancelled. There's Everwild. That's no longer happening. So that raises questions about the future of one of the
wasted potential of that company.
Industry's most, you know,
and
long.
Greg Mayos left as well.
Yeah,
he was been there. Yep. He was there for 35 years.
Banjo
he was basically like the guy that made Banjo.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Among many other things.
He's been around a while.
There's also talk that Romero Games' new shooting game was cancelled by Xbox.
Yeah, I saw that.
Avalanche's Contraband trailer disappears, speculation mounting. Turn 10, there's reports there that 50%, I mean, this is kind of like what I'm talking about sort of untouchable developers.
Yeah, I didn't know about the Contraband. Man, that's a lot of canceled games. It's crazy.
Getting huge cuts. I mean, Turn 10 apparently losing 50% of their staff.
It's nuts.
Shocking. I mean, you know, absolutely shocking. Oliver.
Yeah, it's hard for me to go back to just want to be positive and glaze. Like, of course, I'm still going to do videos when they release stuff in the future. You know, I'll be positive about how I feel. But yeah, right now, me and Microsoft are not on good terms. Definitely after like just some of these lies, I'm like, why? You could have just told people the truth. Like you don't have to do all this. They don't need to do it. You already have all the money. Like that's what disappoints me because it's like you don't have to do it. Like he was saying, man, you had an exemplary example when we had that little flash going all the way, you know, Stalker, Indiana Jones, all the way up to like here, and then you just like why every time you do that, you just tear everything down after that, and then just stab yourself and everybody else. Like why do that positive movement to just jump on the bear trap and just worse and worse more every time. It's just insane.
Where do you want to start on this? This is horrible.
To add to your list, there was also an MMO at ZeniMax called Blackbird. It was Blackbird was the code name, and it was being developed with I think about 300 employees. That was completely shuttered. That's a project that apparently was in the works since 2018. Apparently, Phil Spencer was so impressed that he had to have a controller pulled away from him in a demo, at least according to some lore that's been spread around about this title. So that's another big one. Obviously, big MMOs are games we do not see that often. But
that's crazy because they've been working on ESO for the longest. All that hard work that they were about to manifest, they just tore it down. What? That's crazy.
When they hit big, obviously.
I don't even, I just...
faith in the project. But yeah, overall, I mean, I think this sucks. Especially Perfect Dark is such a weird game to cancel because they shut it off. It was such a big title for them at that point. I know that John was very excited for that game. I know they had a lot of interesting talent behind it. I know they had a really interesting vision.
Yeah, like when you hear Phil Spencer couldn't get off it, that means he liked it. And he approved it. So he didn't shut it down then. Somebody told him to. That's 100% confirmation. That's Microsoft. They don't care. What they said, it's not about whether it was good or not.
For it, they obviously showed off a vertical slice, but it was good, like in-engine stuff. And as you said, that's like pretty representative for a lot of games in that stage of.
It's 100% against gaming, shutting down good video games because they fucking want to. I don't understand why people are defending that, man. That means you're against gaming with them. Then you're okay with that. Shut down a good game. It's like those idiots shut down The Last of Us. It was a good game. Dude, I swear I would never see Nintendo do this. Like, and if they do, boy,
so it's not unusual.
You think I roasted Microsoft?
Apparently, the Seattle Times reported this is intended to free up AI resources, and obviously, Microsoft is very interested in pursuing that with an $80 billion, I think, capital expense in this year alone, like you mentioned, Rich, which is obviously a huge thing. But yeah, I mean, there are a couple notes here. I mean, I think that there's definitely an argument that Microsoft isn't staffed up. Is staffed up to a level that probably is not sustainable in the same way that other companies are staffed up. Because like when you look at Nintendo, a lot of people have been making a lot of hay about this, but they are an industry leading company in this space. Obviously, they have a very successful console, certainly by a large margin, much more successful in at least the console space than Microsoft has been. And they have a total headcount of 8,000 employees total, whereas Microsoft is sitting at something like 20,000, 22,000, something in that range.
For Xbox,
with Sony sitting somewhere in the middle of that range.
And I know people don't like when you butt into a conversation, but Oliver, Microsoft had record profits. They're making so much money, so many billions of revenue coming in. This is not a case of like, oh, they can't survive. This is just like more shareholder placating and like this investment crap that they're so focused. And I'm not a business. It's obvious I'm not a business guy here, but like when you just look at that, it just feels like at what point do these companies just like cut enough people where nobody can freaking buy anything from anybody and the whole economy just collapses?
And I think it is a failure of management ultimately to have studios.
You're awesome. You get it. Because that's what they're doing with the handhelds. Oh, $900 product. Who are you? You're fucking last place. Last place imitated. Yeah, that's what that means. Yeah, $900. Yeah, like you're coming back. Dude. Man, I'm telling you, watch the price of the next console. Or Xbox PC, whatever.
Studios that are as talented as Crystal Dynamics, working on upcoming games that are as talented as the developers at Rare or ZeniMax Studios, ZeniMax Online, working on games for years and years, in some cases 8 years, 10 years, to have those games canceled or in some cases released without necessarily the requisite quality like we saw with Forza Motorsport in 2023. I think that's very unfortunate. And like you said, with Phil Spencer, obviously people have very complicated feelings about that particular matter at the moment, but when he's like issuing the statement that's like, I recognize these changes come at a time when we have more players than ever, all this stuff, that is really just a statement that's intended to placate the only people who matter, which are shareholders, right? He's not really talking to the affected employees insofar, he's talking to them insofar as he's doing all of the kind of window dressing you need to do in this kind of circumstance, but really it's a message to shareholders saying, we have a powerful platform, we have a slate of games, we are headed to
Correct. He doesn't care about them. I'm just telling the truth.
The future with a bold idea here, and we're going to actually have a successful go of things in the future, even if we're downsizing at the moment. And if anything, I'm sure shareholders, at least they seem to like this news. They reacted positively, at least in terms of the share price. That certainly does leave a bad taste
Care about your delivery.
in the mouth, but it is kind of the business, but at the same time, I think it reflects a management that maybe is not working as effectively as it does at some other, platform holders who are doing a better job with their established studios.
There are questions about accountability, obviously, which never really get addressed in the PR surrounding this. It's if a game like Perfect Dark's been in development since 2018 and all we've got is a vertical slice, the question is,
It's
why,
management.
how? Who is accountable?
I don't know what they're doing.
And then secondly, when it comes to, here's the other thing, of course, is that Xbox is a division within Microsoft. And, to what extent are staff like Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond actually fully in control of their budgets?
Probably not as much these days.
No.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's just so much. Obviously, from an outsider perspective looking in, it's definitely an awful thing to see. The actual mechanisms behind why this happened is completely opaque. We don't really know. It just is extremely unfortunate, and the human cost in this is astonishing, to the point where you look at these statements from Phil Spencer and Matt Booty, and it doesn't really encompass the scale, the ramifications of what it is they've actually done.
Agreed.
And to what extent those projects that are affected, to what extent they actually had to go, we just don't really know. Is it a purely finance-led decision? Is it just, a decision from on high that has to be enforced by Xbox executives? But clearly, I think there's a perception problem here, a perception of what Xbox is and what the brand is at this point, because every time there is some sort of positive announcement, it's followed up by something unspeakably bad and evil looking.
Yeah,
that's the bottom line. I mean, it's only like,
because it's coming to you like he does. Cast a light. You think it's light, then you find out it's evil. Who is that?
A couple of weeks ago that we were talking about this new next generation direction, the partnership with AMD, which looks really, really exciting. Then out of the blue, it's like, okay, well, despite the fact we're making all of this money, and despite the fact
I told people, they don't listen to me,
we've got so much to be looking forward to, we're going to be making all of these cuts and inflicting misery on people.
I love that according to Jason Schreier's report, one source, he says, was told last year by Matt Booty in a meeting that closures of Arcane Austin, Tango Gameworks, Alpha Dot, etc.,
on top of misusing and victimizing. Yeah, shitty company.
were done for the purpose of justifying increased headcount
Right when
for
it's all
other game
crashing,
studios
too.
that needed it, such as ZeniMax Online Studios working on Blackbird.
Never ceases to amaze me.
So it's just more of this stuff where it all feels like sacrifice to the AI blood god at this point. And man, for this whole topic, I am definitely upset because I do know people affected by this.
Oh, that's awesome.
And when you see what it's doing to people, it really hurts.
He said it.
And it's just those tone deaf replies from execs that's just shockingly
cruel.
It's painful to read it. So, and then there's just beyond that, there's the human cost, there's the just what it means for the console industry, what it means for Xbox. I think at this point, no company should ever allow themselves to be acquired by Microsoft. If you're a gaming company, don't do it. Stay out of it. It's a bad deal. People were saying this.
Don't you make that deal.
During the Activision stuff, everyone that supported that was wrong.
It's all for the AI god.
Completely. If we supported it, we were wrong. This was a big mistake. All of this stuff.
Yes, of course it is. All right, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. So what do you have to say? I mean, you're seeing everybody that you wouldn't thought. Destin's on it every day. He's making the videos. A lot of other people are speaking out. Just the right thing to do. You can still go back enjoying Xbox. Nobody's stopping that. All right, y'all. Like I said, we're getting through all of this. Nobody wanted to see this, by the way, but it's just reality. Later.